Hello, I'm your host, Patrick Kraus, COO of Jet Midwest. Jet Midwest is excited to bring you a front row seat to all the action while we record our Nose to Tail podcast, live and in person, at one of the biggest aviation maintenance, repair, and overhaul conferences in the world, MRO Americas 2025. Throughout the event, we'll be speaking with industry leaders and deep dive into the latest trends, technologies, and innovations in the aviation industry. So come by, tune in, and get ready for an unforgettable experience at MRO Americas. Now, please sit back and enjoy some of the highlights from last year's event, and we look forward to seeing you next week in Atlanta at booth 1503. So are there some things that you guys do specifically, either DER repairs or some very specialty items? Certainly you have a unique genre, but is there something you guys do particularly better or that you've integrated that make you guys stand out?
So from the beginning, we sat around and really just trying to think tank the whole situation with the turn times. So this industry is driven by turn times. And so what product could we do and consistently turn within 12 business days? So it's 12 days or better, really. And so we wanted to focus on that and what kind of operation could we do efficient-wise, where it comes in the shop, goes right into the clean bay, right into NDT, right through welding, back to final, and then go through the whole process.
So how did you land on the number of 12 days? Was there a target put out? And what did it start at? I'm curious on that journey. How did you get this thing to drive down?
Well, okay, so when we first started, one of our major competitors was running 18 to 21 days. And when we met with a few airlines to do a repair contract with them, they really were driving 14. And if we could beat 14, then it would open us up for extra on the actual repair contract. So there would be more of an incentive and there would be a volume opportunity there for us. So 14 was the number to beat. 18 was the number they were currently accepting from their previous repair vendor. And so 14 was what we agreed upon. And then we figured out with the product that we service, we could get it down to 12. 12 is good. You basically get 2 production weeks out of it, and then it's time to ship. And so that's kind of where we've landed, is 12. We've been consistent with it. One thing that's great about our shop is everybody there loves to be there. We have a really good unity of a team atmosphere there where we're all wanting that product to go out and be perfect and never come back under any kind of a warranty circumstance at all. And so that's what drives us, is get that product out there because it establishes our reputation, and the whole team, we're all together. I may be a single guy sitting here, but there's a whole group of people behind me, great people that help make this what it is. AvDuct, 25 years solid, and now we're back-to-back best ducting repair for 2023 and 2024. So people have voted and they've spoken like, hey, that's a great shop, you know.
Now, for young people who want to get into the industry and come through, you've been around for a couple of years. What is that path? What are the options really for those folks as they want to kind of join the industry?
Well, I think it's an industry that really doesn't reach out to young people, on a basis of them coming out of college, unless you're an engineer or something of that nature. I mean, I was an English major. I had no idea about anything about an airplane. I went on one to go to my honeymoon. And I went here. So, it's a personality thing to do sales. Obviously, you know that.
Sure.
You want to have people who can speak to anybody, irregardless of what you're selling.
Yeah.
And you've just got to be at home and be comfortable with it. And you know that you make relationships, which is what it's all about.
Absolutely.
You can sit in front of a computer, but you have to have that face-to-face. And you can tell with somebody if they can do it or they can't. And there are a lot of kids out there that I think you need to reach out to.
What kind of services are you guys providing? And what maybe is that one thing or two things you guys are really known for, really great at?
Well, Twin started out as a fabrication shop, tooling and fabrication shop in, I think, 1986. The owner was the founder of Windsor Aeromotive. So at 68, he started his shop. When most of us think about retiring, and he was an amazing man, it transitioned into more out of the fabrication shop to a MRO in around year 2000, supporting the PW4000, PW2000, and the Pratt engines, because we were right in Pratt's backyard. So it's very convenient. Over the years, it has grown. The owner passed away, and actually the company turned into an employee-owned company. We have 120 employees, owners right now, which is phenomenal from where we are. We're way before. The engines we support now is a lot more. It's the 4000, the PW2000, V2500, CFM56, CF6, GP7000, and we're doing component support for the GTF as well. So it's come a long way, and we've grown over the years. And being there, this is my 18th year there, and it's exciting because now it's an employee-owned company. You see the younger people coming in. And you mentioned something about, young people getting into the industry. And seeing people come into the industry as owners now of a company and seeing them grow and seeing the opportunities that I got now given to them, it's unbelievably rewarding.
Talk to me a little bit about, from a technology standpoint, and you started with this self-developed system.
Yep.
And you've transitioned. Tell me how that's affecting DOSI and how you're growing and the things that are coming
So
now.
what really drove the growth is, I tend to like niche markets, and I've always stayed away from the big popular thing that everyone's doing. When people are running out of a building, I'm running in to see what's going on and where there's opportunity. And I saw that in the lead up to the financial crisis. We had total irrational exuberance and purchasing everywhere. You had heaps of money flowing into the industry, kind of like today, a lot of public money coming in, a lot of hedge fund money. People were buying, overpaying for stuff. There was a bit of a feeding frenzy, and I got nervous by that and started to focus on markets where nobody else was paying attention. And consumables and expendables was kind of where I landed. In 2006, I changed all investment into consumables and expendables. And we grew that through 2010, and it had gotten so big that it was unmanageable. So I had to figure out, okay, now what do? I need to build a proper organizational structure, and we need proper software and proper systems. So I started to look for ways to kind of leapfrog to the next level, and that's where doing an acquisition started to make sense. And 2013, we bought Aero Inventory out of liquidation, which is the largest parts inventory, I think, to this day that's ever become available. We bought that inventory, and that really changed us from a regional brand into an international brand and really solidified the focus on consumables and expendables. Going from there, now what do we do with this platform? We have all these parts, we have all these part numbers, and how do we monetize that deep into the future? So we started to think about, what are customers looking for? Customers always tell us when we're visiting an airline, they want one invoice, one source. They don't want to have huge procurement departments dealing with brokers and multiple accounts. They don't particularly like dealing with the big OEMs. They would rather focus on a single source and a single invoice and have that all managed in one place. So that's really what we started to build, was kind of a one-stop shop. Amazon was basically what it's modeled after. Platform where we're aggregating suppliers, whether they're surplus suppliers or they're OEMs, distributors, everything in one place. So now on the platform today, we have over 2 million part numbers available. You can buy anything from Boeing's catalog through our platform. Safran, Parker, it's growing every day. So that's kind of in the future. With the acquisition of Aero Inventory in 2013, we picked up a web store, and we've been growing that web store. So now 40% of our transactions happen online with no human interaction whatsoever. There's nobody else really doing that, certainly in the surplus space. And to us, that technology and that shift in the demographic of the market, because if you think about who's coming into the market these days, it's younger and younger generations. And the generations with the buyers that are buying the under $5,000 price point parts, they're the newest entrance into the market. So if you're buying a thrust reverser, it's going to be somebody like us. We've been around a long time. We know how to kind of play the market against each other and play buyers against each other. That's kind of the old-fashioned way of buying. But if you're buying a bracket for $1,000, more than likely you're pretty young and you're used to doing everything online, and you're looking for online solutions, and that's much more natural than picking up a phone and calling down an ILS list trying to find, negotiate with people.
In the look back, how was the transition from working for Rolls-Royce, who is one of our favorite engine OEMs, into the aftermarket? Give me a little bit of flavor of that transition and maybe your sentiment on it.
Sure. I think first and foremost, I will say that I love Rolls-Royce. I probably still have Rolls-Royce inside me. I wanted to be a banker originally, and then ended up in aviation somehow. But anyhow, I think that was a good thing for me, and hopefully a good thing for the aviation industry too. I got taught a lot of things. I'm not an engineer by trade. I did economics at school, so they taught me the basics of how engines worked and whatever else. Some good training in there as well. But transitioning out was different. You're going from a company that has an awful lot of intellectual power but it's a large corporation too, so lots of processes, etc. Moving into the aftermarket, very different. A lot of focus on relationships, a lot of focus on meeting people, which of course is important in the OEM world, but it's different in the aftermarket world. You have multiple suppliers. You've got 10 suppliers that could do something. What is your USP as an aftermarket supplier? What is it? Right now, of course, it's turnaround time. Everyone knows that in capacity. But back in the day, people do business with people.
On an inspection level, what kind of inspection level does Bonus Tech provide? I'm curious. So for our side on the airframe, we're able to dismantle aircraft, and under certain circumstances, we're actually able to dismantle those aircraft and utilize AMM services to put 8130s on certain components. And curious if you guys have developed that same style for what you're doing at the engine teardown level, whether that's a recertification or even just a generalized inspection to give condition. Help me maybe understand what you guys are doing in that area.
So far, we focused on the teardown. This remains the core business. And you're right, it's something our customers and we need to provide. So we're in the trend to have the capability to do so. Hopefully, we hope to have it in the coming weeks. We work hard for that, but this is still a project, but clearly we are on the road to have it soon for the customers. And yes, to release inspection material after some repairs, could be inspections, could be something else, depending on where we want to offer to our customer. The needs will drive the capability anyway.
Right.
Anytime the need. Otherwise, no added value. Hopefully, it will happen this year.
That's great. I certainly can say from an airframe perspective, we saw two consequences in a good way when we were able to utilize the AMM tagging and recertification process. We compressed our time cycle on recovering value, right? So if we had an aircraft that over 18 months, normally to achieve a certain marker, we were achieving that in 12 months and really cutting that span down, which was good, especially considering the volume of material that we go through. So it's a shorter recovery time on the cash. And then we also saw an uptick in the actual value of the units we're bringing to our clients. And I think a lot of that was being able to achieve shorter turn times. You just won more orders because there was more stuff ready to go. It's not a perfect equation, but I certainly hope you guys can achieve something similar where you can help those clients and or yourselves shorten that span of monetization of those assets. It gives us another reason to stick more engines in the shop and reproduce that same model. So from a component shop capability, a specific capability, is there one particular or two particular places you have some great expertise that people should know about?
No, I must say that our capability list is extended to around 12,000 part number, mainly airframe components on both Boeing and Airbus platforms. Most of the platforms actually. Our strong capabilities are on the legacy fleet, 777, 320s, and now 787. We do have on A380s, we do have on all the Airbus and Boeing actually. Of course, with the support of the OEM, we are always developing new capabilities. So our strategy now is to expand our reach and the partnership with a lot of OEMs in the region. So we are authorized repair station for a couple of OEMs in the region, and this helped us to develop our capability and the portfolio with the customers.
So from an aircraft fleet type, A380, 777, you've got Boeing and Airbus, competitive products there. Is there maybe some commentary or nuance? I don't want to say better or worse, right? That would put you on the spot. But then maybe is there something special nuanced about each of those products that's either a big challenge or that you really enjoy working on?
So yes, as a passenger, I have an opinion, and as an engineer, I have another opinion. As a passenger, I would say from Boeing, the 787 is quite comfy in flying, and the A380, for example. When you fly long hauls, if you're on the A380, you really don't feel it. But from a maintenance perspective, A380 is a big headache. It consumes the whole hangar slot. As a hangar, it consumes a lot of manpower. It's really expensive to maintain, but it is comfy, and passengers do love it. So both are good. Both, they have good products, really competing. And for each travel and for each maintenance activity, everyone will have a favorite.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Nose to Tail podcast, here with Sammy from Etihad.
Thank you, Patrick.
This is Patrick Kraus signing off.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.